women's lives and decisions should go over the rights of a fetus. Hi, I'm Belle. I'm a journalist living and working in Malta, and I'm 22 years old, and I'm pro-choice.
So Belle, why are you pro-choice?
I am here talking about it because I had an abortion myself, and I needed one about a year ago, a bit longer. But I've been pro-choice because I believe that women should have the right to decide over their own body, and not only their own body, but their own health in my case, and their own future as well. And at the same time, because regardless of whether there are laws against abortion or not, women will be having abortions. So it's not like a law against abortion is going to prevent people from having abortions. It's just going to make it more complicated for them.
Do you think there should be only a specific scenario for abortions, or should it be fully legal?
In my opinion, ideally, abortion is a right that women have up until a certain time in the pregnancy, where they can decide whether they want to keep the child or not. However, I think in Malta, locally, it is so important to actually start out with making it legal to have an abortion in case your life is being threatened, or in case there are health complications, or in case there is something bigger than just not wanting a child. And even though I am personally in favor of that, I think that's the very bare minimum that we should be starting with.
Were you ever pro-life? And if so, what were your reasons and how did you change your mind?
I've never been pro-life. I grew up in the Netherlands, which is a country where abortion is both free and accessible to everyone up until 24 weeks, which is when the fetus would be able to live outside of the woman's body independently, which I agree with, because I think as long as it is part of you and inside of your uterus, without being able to live on itself, it should be your decision whether you want to keep it or not, because it's still happening inside of your body. It's not something that happens all the time. Like, I don't know anyone personally, besides myself, in the Netherlands that had an abortion. And in fact, we have some of the lowest abortion rates in Europe because we have such accessible services and great sex education.
But do you see where pro-lifers are coming from?
Yes, I do see where they're coming from. I've had conversations with pro-life people that I'm friends with, some of them that I, can debate with or have a good discussion with while staying respectful, which I think is super crucial in this entire debate, because the only way that we're going to agree on something and understand the other side is by being respectful towards each other. And I see where they're coming from, and I see the need to protect life and the right of life. But I think there's just something fundamental that we're not going to agree on, which is that women's lives and decisions should go over the rights of a fetus up until a certain point.
Do you think we need more education and awareness on the topic, and what makes you think that?
Absolutely, yeah. I know that sex education in Malta is really lacking, and there's some massive misinformation being spread around abortion, but even contraception and how to have safe sex. And these things are so important to teach teenagers and younger people to how to safely have sex and how to deal with these things, what kind of contraception you can use, because I think that's the start and that's what we should be focusing on, because no one wants to have an abortion. No one is pro-abortion, essentially. Everyone is either pro-life or pro-choice, but no one wants to have people to have an abortion. So I think prevention of it is the first step. And that only happens if people know how to, not end up pregnant when they don't want to be, and have safe and trustworthy accessibility to contraception and education.
So do you think that men should have a say whether or not a baby should be aborted?
I think this is a really interesting topic because on the one hand, yes, since they are also responsible for the pregnancy, they play a part in it, they make up 50% of it practically. So in that sense, yes, I think we should definitely be listening to men who are involved in the issue. On the other hand, I want to say it is a women's issue, because in the end it is the woman that has to carry through with a pregnancy or not. It is the woman that has to make the final decision, and it is the woman who carries the responsibility both for remaining pregnant or having an abortion. So in that sense, I feel like men don't get as much of the responsibility for aborting or not, which makes sense because it is like a women's issue where you decide over your own body. While at the same time they are as responsible for the pregnancy, so it's quite debatable whether, you know, you should get a man's permission if you want to have an abortion or not. At the same time, when we're discussing this and discussing pro-choice movements or whether we should be legalizing or decriminalizing abortion, I think the mainstay should be by women, because essentially it is about them, and it is only women that are affected by this law, because you know there are like 400 women traveling abroad or having abortions in any case in Malta, and it is them who are affected by these laws and not the men, essentially.